look at the size of this place. A guy who didn't know what he was doing could sure get himself in a lot of trouble here. But hey, I'm sure you'll pick one out. I mean, how hard could it be? Like these guys, they used to make a heck of a movie projector. And anyway, if something does go wrong, I'm sure a handy guy like you can probably just fix it yourself. But as long as you're here, maybe you ought to just look at an IBM.
60 Minutes, a CBS News weekly magazine, will continue.
The challenge, presenting the news of the world. The credibility, a newsman who has been there. The commitment, Eyewitness News Report with Huell Perkins.
Each weeknight at 6, we bring a world of facts home to you. Using CNN and Eyewitness News resources, we'll keep you well informed, internationally, nationally, and locally on Eyewitness News Report. The challenge is now our commitment.
The facts tell the story on Eyewitness News Report with Huell Perkins. Weeknights at 6 on TV2.
This is CBS on TV2.
Weekdays on TV2 Eyewitness News at 5. News matters to you. Getting the facts matters to Eyewitness News with Rich Fisher and Jerry Hodak. Get a hometown perspective from two Detroiters with over 50 years news experience. TV2 leads the way with the facts on stories that impact you, wherever they happen, when they happen. For issues that concern you most, get the facts from Detroit's most accomplished news team, Fisher and Hodak. Weekdays on Eyewitness News at 5, where the facts tell the story.
You are confused about them. It's true. They're offering you savings to Hong Kong. You don't know anyone in Hong Kong. They want you to sign up your family and friends. You'd rather let your family and friends call you.
Uncle Bob.
It's cheaper. They want you to sign up the person you call most.
Joey the Pizza King here.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
How about some features you do want? Services you can use. We offer things they don't. We're Ameritech. Call us at 1-800-AROUND-YOU.
Hello, Ameritech? I want a phone in my bathroom.
Okay.
Ameritech. Designed around you.
Get fresh with the Jon Stewart Show, late nights here on TV2.
If Saddam Hussein backed down this past week, there's no doubt that America's control of the skies had a lot to do with it. In fact, when push comes to shove, it's almost always air supremacy that America counts on. That's why in the early 80s, the Pentagon came up with a plan for a new jet fighter so technologically advanced it would revolutionize air combat. It was to have one mission against one enemy, the Soviet Union. Well, the Soviet Union may be dead and buried, but not the Air Force's new F-22. In fact, getting it in the air by the year 2004 is still the Air Force's #1 priority. And at $162 million a copy, the fleet of F-22s would cost taxpayers more than $70 billion, making it one of the most expensive planes ever built.
This is the first prototype of the F-22, a plane the Air Force promises will be a technological marvel. It would combine stealth with supersonic speed, the ability to patrol vast stretches of enemy airspace quicker than anything in the skies, virtually undetected by enemy radar. The question is, since this plane was built to fight an enemy that no longer exists, the Soviet Union, do we still need it?
Lieutenant General Richard Hawley of the Air Force insists that we do. He says even with the end of the Cold War, the world remains a dangerous place.
We have a threat that we're convinced is going to be very real and that we're going to be asked to counter. We're going to be asked to do it with the smallest expenditure of American lives that we can manage. And this airplane is what we need to be able to do that.
What's the threat?
Steve, I don't know when or where we're going to have to fight next, but there are 35 countries in the world with very modern airplanes, what we call fourth-generation airplanes, which is the equivalent of an F-16, the near equivalent of an F-15, 35 countries. We need to be prepared to deal with that kind of a threat wherever it may occur, wherever U.S. interests might be threatened.
General Hawley points to this Air Force threat map entitled Advanced Fighter Aircraft Worldwide. The Air Force has been circulating it on Capitol Hill to justify the F-22 program. And who are those 35 countries that pose a potential threat to the United States? Well, you may be surprised to learn that the list includes countries like Israel, Switzerland, Norway, Saudi Arabia, Australia, even New Guinea. We showed the map to John Pike, a defense analyst with the Federation of American Scientists,
the liberal Washington think tank. Pike called it preposterous and noted that almost every potential adversary listed has stood by the United States against the former Soviet Union for the past 45 years.
If you look on this map, you've got the United Kingdom, who we haven't fought since 1812. You have Japan, we beat them in World War II, and they've been allies ever since. South Korea, we defended them in the Korean War. You go down this list, and it turns out that most of these countries are friends of allies of the United States.
And where did a lot of these countries get their advanced fighter jets that the Air Force now says pose a potential threat to the United States? You guessed it, they got them from the United States. For the past 3 years, the U.S. has exported more combat jets than any country in the world, more than Russia and Europe combined. So in a way, you seem to be saying that we have to go out and spend $70 billion on a new airplane so that we can remain superior over the airplane that we built and sold all over the world.
Steve, I don't really expect to have to fight our own equipment. I've got a lot of faith in the ability of those people who decide who we can sell weapon systems to pick countries that are going to remain our friends. But I don't have any control over the French or the British or the Russians and the other people who are selling quality aircraft in the market today. Those are the airplanes I worry about.
He worries about them falling into the hands of countries that aren't so friendly to the United States. Countries like Iraq, Iran, Syria, Libya, China, and North Korea. But John Pike says not even those countries pose a legitimate threat to the U.S. Air Force.
Basically, these countries all have a couple of hundred antique airplanes that basically belong in museums, and they have a couple of dozen advanced fighters like the MiG-29 that we outnumber 5 or 10 to 1.
How many advanced fighter aircraft does the United States have?
Nearly 2,000 F-16s, approximately 800 F-15s, and many hundreds of F-14s and F-18s with the Navy.
It's not good enough to have numbers in your home airdrome. We have to fight people in their court. We got to deploy to their area of the world. And we're going to have to meet them with a relatively small number of airplanes when they've got their entire force structure to throw against us. So we need to have much superior equipment in the hands of very well-trained pilots if we expect to be able to gain air superiority.
Right now, the United States has that air superiority with the F-15. And a study released earlier this year by the GAO, Congress's General Accounting Office, says the F-15 will still be the world's top gun well into the next century. Lou Rodriguez, a senior analyst with the GAO, says there's no reason to spend $70 billion now to counter a threat that doesn't and won't exist in the foreseeable future.
Clearly, if they can make this aircraft do what they're planning to have it do, it would be far superior to an F-15. But the issue still becomes, do you need it? It's a lot of money, and we'd be getting rid of perfectly good, very, very capable, the most capable aircraft in the world from an air superiority standpoint for the future, the F-15, in order to introduce, well in advance of when it's needed, this F-22 aircraft.
Why would we have to get rid of the F-15s?
Well, we can't afford to keep them all. I mean, if you...
You can't afford to do both?
No, absolutely not.
The Air Force has already poured $9 billion into the F-22 and still doesn't have an engine that works. And it wants to commit to buying 80 F-22s before a single one has been fully tested. The GAO says if you delay actual production for 10 years, you could save $12 billion, work out the bugs in the technology, and then assess potential threats. Why not let it slip until 2010 or 2015?
If you slip it until 2010, you will spend most of 2 decades facing threats that are equal to or better than your best air superiority fighter. That's not good enough.
Threats from where? Who's the threat to the United States Air Force?
Threats could be North Korea, threats could be Iraq, threats could be Iran, threats could be Libya. You pick the threat.
Well, we picked the threats. None of those countries have more than 20 advanced fighter aircraft, and we've got almost 1,000.
The threat in the world today is uncertainty. Who would have expected when we started building this airplane in the mid-'80s, when we started the concept development, that Iraq would invade Kuwait in 1990? Nobody predicted that, and I can't predict where we'll be engaged tomorrow.
The Air Force says in the next decade or so, the French, the British, and the Swedes will all build and export jet fighter planes that will rival and in some cases outperform the F-15. But the Air Force says the biggest threat may yet come out of Russia in the form of a multi-role fighter interceptor called the MFI.
We think that we will see that airplane in the first decade of the next century.
Well, that would come as a surprise to a lot of people, including the Pentagon's own Defense Intelligence Agency. At least that's what the GAO's Lou Rodriguez says. He's got the highest security clearance possible and has reviewed all the intelligence agency's latest threat assessments. He says those reports say the Russians can't build the plane without a robust economy.
I don't think anybody's projecting a very robust Russian economy in the near future.
So what you're saying is that the Russians don't seem to be building this new interceptor plane right now, can't afford to build the new interceptor plane right now.
In fact, are not building it.
I'm not aware of that assessment and haven't seen it, Steve, but the assessments I get say that the MFI is on track.
Even with the Soviet economy in a shambles?
Even with the Soviet economy in its current state, that's correct.
The Air Force says, look, Lou Rodriguez at the GAO is a bookkeeper, not a military strategist. What does he know about threat assessment?
Oh, threat? I mean, I can read a document like anybody else. I didn't make this threat up. I'm using the threat that they've developed, and I run that threat as characterized in our report backed by their threat experts, and they agree. Now, you tell me who's making the mistake.
To try and find out, we went to the chairman of the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Dennis DeConcini of Arizona, who used to support the F-22 but now opposes it. We asked him what he could tell us about the Russian fighter program.
To think that they're going to develop this multi-billion-dollar new fighter, I don't think is realistic. And if they did do it, we would know they were doing it, and we do not know that they are in the process of developing that fighter. That's speculation, and believe me, I know.
The Air Force will tell you that there is a threat.
Well, I just don't believe the Air Force in that instance.
And neither does its own consultant. Last year, the Air Force hired the RAND Corporation to study Russia's Air Force. The conclusion? The Russians can barely afford to maintain their current fleet of aircraft, let alone invest billions in a new fighter. And in August of this year, a senior U.S. Army strategist said in today's military environment, the justification for building the F-22 is, quote, highly questionable.
I know your job is to make sure that the United States has absolute air superiority, and I applaud your efforts for doing it. But you don't have a lot of support among Senator DeConcini in the Intelligence Committee, with the GAO, with the Defense Intelligence Agency study. When it comes to the issue of whether the Russians are going to build the MFI.
We watch what's going on in the Congress very closely, and I think we have great support for this airplane.
About that, the general is right. There's a lot of support on Capitol Hill for the F-22, and Senator DeConcini thinks he knows why.
Because there's a tremendous lobby in favor of this.
What lobby?
The aircraft industry, the suppliers of this airplane.
The airplane itself may be untested, but the aircraft industry's sales pitch to congressmen is tried and true. The F-22 is a study in the art or politics of defense procurement. The main contractor is Lockheed, and its senior executive in charge is James Mickey Blackwell.
For 442 aircraft, we are contracted for something upwards of $75–80 billion, or will be contracted in the future if we go to fruition.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And where will all that money be spent? Well, the short answer is almost everywhere. The F-22 would employ 100,000 workers in 44 states, as in 88 senators.
We want the senator or the congressman in that district to know that he is a part of the F-22 team. Don't you want to be part of a winner?
And no one will be a bigger winner than the state of Georgia. That's where Lockheed relocated its major production facility after it got the F-22 contract. Why Georgia?
The decision didn't have anything to do with the fact that Sam Nunn, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, is from Georgia?
No, not overtly. It's always nice to have Sam Nunn in your corner, though.
When craftsmanship is elevated to a level far beyond excellence, it becomes something different. It becomes an art. Acura. Some things are worth the price.
People who really understand money carry the Discover card. Only Discover card offers cashback bonus award. So it's the choice of people who really know the drill. It pays to discover.
TGI Fridays has introduced gourmet pizzas, and I have just the way to show them to you. Great combinations like very veggie pizza or barbecue chicken pizza. Friday's new gourmet pizzas are gonna be great. Guaranteed.
I remember the day I said goodbye to baseball. I promised myself minor arthritis pain wouldn't hold me back. And hey, I gotta use this shoulder. That's why I still want strong relief. So I use Ultra Strength Bengay. It has 3 pain relievers. They only have 1. And doctors recommend Bengay the most. I promised myself arthritis pain wouldn't hold me back. Bengay helps me keep that promise. Ultra Strength Bengay. Nothing stronger.
If you were AT&T, the old American Telephone and Telegraph, the biggest, most powerful company in the universe, what would you be scared of? If you were AT&T, you'd be scared of only one thing. Me, from MCI. You'd be scared I'd call your customers and show them the savings with MCI, and you'd worry that they'd really like the idea and switch to MCI. Lighten up, AT&T. Don't be so scared of me and MCI. You have millions of customers, and it's gonna be years before I can get through to all of them.
Tonight, Andy Rooney, who has done his share of reading, writing, and arithmetic on this broadcast, tries his hand at geography.
I don't know what they call the place where you live, a city probably. Most people say they love the country, but they live in a city. There are about 10,000 communities called cities in the United States. There are 3,736 villages and 4,600 towns. I think of a town as a place that has a water tower. Small town should have a water tower with its name on it. Half the time they tell you the speed limit, but they don't tell you the name of the town. If it has a water tower, you know darn well you're in the town of Moreau. The Postal Service sent me this list. 298 places in the United States are named after presidents. George Washington has 31 places named after him. There are 18 Buffaloes, 13 Atlantas, 12 places called Denver, 10 Hollywoods. There's 17 Eurekas, even 5 Little Rocks. There's a Moscow, a Warsaw, a London, a Peru. I think a city ought to be able to get a copyright on its name so no place else could call itself that. I mean, look at this. There are 13 little towns of Bethlehem. Now, that's not right. I came from the capital of New York State, Albany. Growing up, I thought it was the only one. Then I began to hear about Albany, Georgia, Albany, California. It turns out there are 18 places named Albany. Each state makes its own rule for what a city can be. New York has 62 cities. There are almost as many cities in Montana. But in Montana, a wide place in the road with 1,000 people can be called a city. Some places are big enough to be called cities, but they aren't because they don't want to be. Now, I can understand that. I'd rather live in a place called a village than one called a city, no matter how big it was. The most popular place name is taken from an American who was never president. You know who that was? Most popular hometown name in the United States is Franklin. There are 33 places called Franklin. There are 28 Lincolns. And the biggest surprise of all to me, right after George Washington with 31, there are 30 places in the United States named Clinton. And Rush Limbaugh says the president isn't popular.
Updating a story we did last June about a Florida dentist suspected of transmitting the HIV virus to 6 of his patients, we heard from one of those patients, a woman by the name of Lisa Shoemaker, who said no matter who said what in our story, she remained certain she had been infected by the dentist. She also said she resented the way we described her. She was, she said, part owner of a cotton candy stand, not a carnival worker. A lot of the mail that's come in recently has been about Andy Rooney's essay on lawyers, and a lot of that mail has come, not surprisingly, from lawyers. This letter, for instance. Andy Rooney may not know it and may think he's funny, but he's a very dangerous man. When Andy asks how many lawyers get sued for malpractice, let me remind him it's easier to sue a lawyer for malpractice than it is to sue a journalist for malpractice. About our story on women who sell their eggs to other women who want to have a baby, we heard from a viewer who said, "I find it amusing that the medical ethics professor in your story is so uptight about egg donors. Men have been selling sperm for decades. Does he really believe there's a difference?" Finally, on that same subject, a viewer wrote, "I'm sick and tired of men dictating what women can do with their bodies. Men, mind your own business. And 60 Minutes, shame on you." I'm Leslie Stahl. We'll be back next week with another edition of 60 Minutes.
You always had dreams, big dreams, 18-room castle in the sand dreams. Hey, you were gonna pitch Game 7 of the big series, remember? You were gonna frug with the Go-Go Girls on Hullabaloo. Yeah. You were gonna learn bar chords and jam with Blue Oyster Cult. Dreams. Dreams are what drive us. But sometimes life is good. You get to drive your dream.
The way we see it, the most important thing you can do for somebody is to be friendly to them.
Hi, partner. Give me that handshake. You're my
So
partner.
back in 1980, we started having people readers at Walmart. Good morning. How are you today? Imagine that. A person's only job is to be friendly.
I love those smiles now. Good to see you.
Hired retired folks like myself and put us to work being friendly.
You going for a ride?
It's a real good way to make friends.
Still working with prehistoric copiers? Get the copier that earned Buyers Lab's highest rating for uptime, Meta. For a more productive future, the times demand Meta.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that will pick you up right at your door. That's Enterprise. Call us. We'll arrange to come to you, take you back to our office, and you're on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
There are big things happening here at TV2, and the good news is we have more of the news you want to know. Take a look. We've got the stories. We're covering more ground in the metro area. And let's not forget sports.
I'll have much more to say.
You'll want to know whether to bring this. With more forecasts, guaranteed. Well, as you can see, you're still going to get the facts from TV2 Eyewitness News. Now, more news, more often.
Same station, new attitude. It takes two.
The fact that this might become a drug, this is only a matter of hope. But what we have found up to now is all real.
Later tonight, Patty Duke and Melissa Gilbert star in the dramatic world premiere movie Cries of the Heart. But first, Angela Lansbury goes Hawaiian in a Honolulu of a political mystery on Murder, She Wrote. Next.
Marina, Marina, Marina. Oh, no, 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 no.
Salute.
Que sarà, que sarà, que sarà, che sarà della mia vita, chi lo sa, e sarà, sarà quel che sarà.
For a transcript of this program, send $6 to Burrell's Transcripts, Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039. And to purchase video cassettes of tonight's stories, call 1-800-848-3256.
Experience CBS News.
Monday. Who'd be dumb enough to steal Murphy's mascot?
I don't see Dan Quayle on here.
I thought about him, but the person who did this had to be able to operate a fax machine.
Murphy Brown. Then, will an island vacation cause trouble in paradise?
Not only do I know what a bidet is, I know how to use it without getting the ceiling wet.
Love and War after Murphy Brown, Monday. A lesson in self-defense.
Oh! Was that the bread basket?
Actually, that was closer to the fruit bin. As the family fighting mad. Don't make me hurt you. The boys are back Wednesday.
It was the most controversial statement of its time. And the question remains, did he or didn't he? The world has been waiting for an answer for over 50 years. And this November, the wait will be over. Scarlet, coming to CBS.
This is CBS.
Bob Carr. After 18 years in Washington, he just can't tell the truth about taxes.
I just voted to cut taxes.
But Carr actually cast the tie-breaking vote to pass Bill Clinton's huge tax increase. Just ask Bill.
If it had not been for Congressman Carr, the plan would have gone down. We passed it by one vote.
Carr has voted for higher income taxes and for higher taxes on Social Security. Double-talking Bob Carr. He's everything that's wrong with Congress.
The Cadillac DeVille was created with your family's safety in mind. Its airbag system, for example, helps protect all 3 front seat passengers. The DeVille is also designed to help protect something else, your investment. Now, you can lease one for only $499 a month for 24 months with $2,800 down to give your family personal security and financial security. The Cadillac DeVille. See your Metropolitan Detroit Cadillac dealer.
TV2 Eyewitness Morning. It gets you going.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote.
Jeff's going to be the first American president from Hawaii.
Vote for Jeff.